6:30 and time for the Murray City Municipal Council for July 16th, 2019. And I'd like to welcome everyone. Also, if you have cell phones, if you would put them on silent, I would really appreciate it. And we'll start our opening ceremonies with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Melinda Greenwood, our Community and Economic Development Director, to lead us.
Please stand. Repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Melinda. All right, our next bit of business is approval of the minutes for the council meeting July 18th, 2019, and I would appreciate a motion if there are not any questions or concerns about those minutes.
I'll move approval of the council meeting agenda of June 18th, 2019.
Do you want to approve the minutes? So?
Did I say agenda? I meant minutes.
Okay, just checking. I'll second.
All right, it's been motion and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the motion passes unanimously. The next bit of business is special recognition. The Murray City Council Employee of the Month is Tyson Wendell, and he's from our Patrol Division, Murray Police Department, and Brett Hales will do the presentation along with Chief Burnett.
Tyson, if you'll come up, please. We're giving you this award because you've had to put up with Craig for 3 years. And Joe. Joe, you're not getting out of this, Joe. And Tom, look, he's back there. Really, I could start naming.
Hey, you know, they have guns, Brett.
That's right.
And tasers.
Funny. Come on up, Tyson. Tyson, you've been here 3 years with the city.
Wow.
As a council, we just wanted to show our appreciation to you for your service. And you got a lot of great compliments from Craig and Joe and others. So as a council, we started this program about 7 years ago. And we just want to recognize you. We're going to put your name back there on our wall. And there is the certificate. More importantly than the certificate is $50. Does that go to you or does that go to someone else?
Probably the wife.
All right, I'll do that. I knew, I could tell immediately he wasn't going to hesitate with that one bit. Anyway, so from the council, we just wanted to recognize you and with much appreciation for all you do. Of course, all our officers and all our first responders. But let's give them a big hand.
Thank you. Just want to share a little information with you. This is always a great time to be able to recognize our officers or our employees. We know what they do, serving the community and the citizens, and you know, everything that goes on, and we appreciate each and every one of them. And you know, this is one of those things that we don't. These times don't come around often enough to be able to recognize all of our employees. But this month we were kind of excited that we had the chance to recognize somebody in July, because I think there's something we want to, something that everybody's kind of aware of, but I just think there's more information that we want to share with you. Tyson was recently awarded our Medal of Distinction, and I'd just like to read the letter that I presented Tyson on this so that you can see why we've decided this is a perfect place to, or time for him to be recognized as our employee of the month for the city. On June 6, 2019, while working a patrol shift, which I believe was probably an overtime shift, wasn't it? Or were you just regular shift? A call was broadcast over the radio that someone had fallen in the creek at Murray Park. Tyson arrived at the park quickly before any details were known about the situation. He observed a man yelling that someone was in the water, and that same man then jumped into the creek. Tyson was able to get to the riverbank, observed a young boy floating face down in the swift flood waters. Without regard to his own safety, he jumped in the river, pulled the boy out of the water. Tyson assessed the boy's condition, found that he was not breathing and did not have a pulse. He immediately began CPR until paramedics arrived. Medics were able to establish pulse and quickly transported the 5-year-old child to the hospital where he made a full recovery. So, there's a lot of talk about the citizen that was there and jumped in the water, but, we're glad he was there to help. And then Tyson was there also, and there's a lot of good work that he needs to be recognized for. So, thanks.
Tyson, thank you so much for your service to our city. We really appreciate it. Would you like to introduce your family that's here?
Yeah, so I've got my grandmother right here, my grandfather. That's my wife, my 3-month-old son, Maddox,
Wow.
who's asleep.
Oh,
My mother-in-law and my father-in-law. So.
great. Thank you.
I think my mistake was looking at your mother-in-law. I shouldn't have been paying attention because I started getting choked up when I was watching you film. Yeah, you're awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
We're all proud.
Yes, so proud.
And you don't have to stay.
Oh, yeah, good point. You can stay as long as you want. It's not going to be too long, but when you get bored, you can go. All right, the next is our citizen comments, and this is a time for the citizens to come and address the council. The comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out the required form. And just to let you know, this is not the public hearing. That will be after this. So anyone who would like to address the council, you can do that now. Bye-bye. Okay, seeing none, we'll go to the public hearing. Let's see, this public hearing is to consider an ordinance relating to land use. It amends the zoning map for the property located at 770 East of Vine Street, Murray City, Utah, from R18, which is low-density single-family zoning district, to the R16, which is low-medium density single-family zoning district. And we have Melinda Greenwood addressing us right now.
So this is an interesting request. It's not very often that we bring requests forward where recommendation is denial. But in this case, we've been through the process. The Planning Commission heard this item on May 2nd and has recommended the denial of the zone change request. Staff also recommends denial. So just to go through here, the property is located there at 770 East Vine. And the surrounding zoning is R18. You can see that, maybe you can't really see the highlighted property there. And then here is the future land use category where it shows low and medium density. Here's just a few different views of the property. This is looking, I think, west. And then this slide shows a variety of items. The property is a legal non-conforming property. There's quite a few issues with what is currently located on the property. And initially the applicant thought if they could subdivide the property, they would be able to bring some of the uses in the buildings in there into conformance. But that would not be possible through the subdivision. And so they have requested to go through the zone change request from the R18 to the R16. That still would not bring them into compliance with the many issues. There's already an existing duplex on the lot, and then in the back, there is a building that we don't believe was ever permitted properly, let me say it that way. And so the intent was to try and turn that into a duplex as well. The general plan, the intent of the general plan is to create and support single detached family residential dwelling units in this area. And so to have a lot that contains duplexes doesn't support that general plan and the future land use plan. So based on the findings that staff has come up with, we recommend that this be denied. Though the rezoning of the property from R18 to R16 would be supported, the applicant's intended purpose of having those duplexes become conforming doesn't support that, because it supports the single detached family instead of the multifamily. And then based on the characteristics of the property, the surrounding properties, it also would leave, if it were rezoned and subdivided, the property would be much smaller than the surrounding properties. So this is kind of the opposite case of the one we discussed in the committee of the whole, where the lot sizes feel like it could negatively impact the characteristics of the neighborhood, because you would be having two much smaller lots in a neighborhood where larger lots exist with the zoning designation of the R18. And then staff also found that they would call this the spot zoning, where it would be one section of R16 within that surrounding uses of all the R18. And then lastly, the potential zone request again was to try and bring the property into compliance or conformity, but even with a subdivision and a rezone, the property would need several variances to become into compliance, and the variances wouldn't likely to be approved either. So the subdivision, or excuse me, the rezone really doesn't stand for serving any purpose at that point. I'll try and answer any questions you may have, and I think, is the applicant here tonight? Okay, the applicant is here tonight, so you may want to hear from him as well.
Okay. Let's see. Brian Muriel, would you like to address the council?
Hello. I just wanted to make clear for the rezoning, it wasn't, that back piece isn't to make it into a duplex. The rezoning is so we could do a flag lot, so we would turn it into a single family home, so it still fit in that idea of single family residence. And then we would understand that we'd still have to go through more the variances to deal with the duplex, but the thought process was, if we do get the zoning for that, make the variances less, and then, you know, turn the unit into something useful and, you know, beautify that area, is the idea behind that. So that's all I really have for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I will now open this for public comment, and if there are any comments from the public, there is a comment form to fill out. Do we have any public comments?
Good evening, Mayor and council members and public. The first thing that came to my mind when I started looking at the plat was that there are at least 2 setback variances for the code. And I thought there was a more strict adherence to code. I was at a city council meeting in the last 12 months where a senior center wanted more than 25% footprint to allow carport parking, to allow those senior members who lived in that complex protection for their cars from the snow and rain and wind and all. And there was no allowance for any code variation for that situation. So I just think there's got to be some uniformity, and I was pleased to hear that it has been denied in previous meetings. So the code consideration seems to me that that is a very important consideration. So thank you.
Would you state your name and your city of residence, please?
Beverly Krangle, Murray City.
Thank you, Beverly. Are there any other comments? Yes. Please state your name and city of residence.
I was busy writing. I don't know if I've got this filled out correctly, but we'll try and get it done beforehand. My name's Alan DeMann. I am the owner of the lot that is southwest of this lot, as well as co-owner of the lot south of there. We definitely would love to see some improvement done in that lot. The history, as far as we can tell, was things were done without permits. Currently, the structure is on, it's right on the boundary line on the lot to the south, and we would like to see it improved. We think there's major room for that improvement, but we think by doing so, it brings down the value of the other properties surrounding, has been mentioned before, just because they're not in keeping with everything else that's in the neighborhood, the size of the lots. So our recommendation or our request would be that it's denied without, at least without maybe a little bit better plan that shows what it is they're trying to accomplish. And we certainly would work with them, and we've offered to meet with them as neighbors and try and come up with something that would make more sense. So, thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there other comments? Okay. Are there any questions? Melinda, do you have anything else you might want to say, or?
No, just to reiterate that even with the subdivision, there would still be, or with a rezone and a subdivision, there would still be a number of variances needed for the lot, or for this, for a property, for a building to be built, and those variances are not likely to be supported. And it has been mentioned, the existing building in the back of the property there it's not conforming. It was likely built without a building permit, and the setbacks are not appropriate to the zone. So in either way, the number of variances that would be needed to have the lot developed just would not work. And so that's why the recommendation is for denial.
Okay. With that, I'll close the public comment and take it to the council. Do you have questions, or would you like to make a motion?
Well, comments, it's, looking at the picture, that back building looks like it's actually sitting beyond the property line, at least the ones shown in this photograph. So you'd need a variance for the rear yard setback, both side yard setbacks, and apparently the front yard setback. And I'm really concerned about the second floor garage door. Since you can't park a car in it, it looks more like a loading dock to me, and that gives me some heartburn that someone might try to make use of it that's not proper. So I understand why the Planning Commission sent a negative recommendation. There's just too many things wrong with this property.
Yeah.
So that being said, I would make a recommendation that we deny the ordinance relating to the land use that would amend
the zoning map for the property located at 770 East Vine Street, Murray City, Utah, from R18 to R16.
I'll second.
Is there discussion on the motion? Okay. Jennifer?
So you recommended denial, Jim?
Yes.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. That ends our public hearings, and now we go to the business item. We just have one tonight, and that's to consider a resolution approving the local public safety and firefighter surviving spouse trust fund cost sharing agreement by and between Murray City and the Commissioner of the Utah Department of Public Safety, Jess L. Anderson, and our attorney, G.L. Critchfield, is the presenter.
Thank you, Council Chair. This item on the agenda has to deal with the compliance with the Public Safety Officer and Firefighter Line of Duty Death Act. State law requires that the city pay 100% of the premium for health care of a surviving spouse and child of a fallen officer or firefighter. It also requires we participate in this trust fund. The way we do that is to enter into a cost-sharing agreement. We certify how many employees we have who qualify, and then we pay an annual premium. Currently, it looks like we have about 142 qualifying employees. The cost for each person annually is $95 per employee, and so it's approximately $13,490 annually. If we choose not to participate in the trust fund and not to enter into this agreement, then we would pay the entire amount of premiums until the surviving spouse reaches Medicare eligibility age or a child is 26 years old. Otherwise, we pay for a year, and then we ask the trust to reimburse us for the rest of it. So if you approve the resolution, then you're approving essentially and authorizing the mayor to enter into this cost-sharing agreement.
Okay. Thank you, GL. All right, now we'll turn to the council, and are there comments or a motion, or what's your pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve a resolution approving the local public safety and firefighter surviving spouse trust fund cost-sharing agreement by and between Murray City and the Commissioner of the Utah Department of Public Safety, Jess L. Anderson.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on that motion? Okay. The vote, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. All right. Thank you. Now we are at the mayor's report portion. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. A couple of things to mention. As everyone knows, this is the construction season, particularly on the roads, and the Vine Street project is moving along smoothly, even though it's quite a mess, and you can avoid it if you can. But it's moving along nicely. Also, the work on the water line replacement on Sam Oliver Drive has been completed, or Sam Oliver Street, and they'll now be working in that same subdivision there on 5750 South and 120 West and 150 West in your district there, in District 4 there, Councilmember Turner. And also in that same neighborhood, the installation of the storm drain on Utana Street will begin next week, and this has been an ongoing problem for a number of years. And it's finally been engineered and is ready to go. They'll be starting on it next week. Much of the work, however, will be taking place at night, so it may be disruptive to some of the residents in the neighborhood. But they have been contacted. Shouldn't be an issue. And the reason they have to do that at night is they have to do it when the trains aren't running because they're going underneath the tracks. Also, the Parks Department is initiating the project to clean out many of the invasive species trees on the property that's owned by the city north of 4500 South along the east side of the Jordan River. This is being funded by the funds that came through the Jordan River Commission. So that will be starting. Excuse me. That will be starting next week as well. So we're happy to get that cleaned out. That should help with some of the homeless camps down in that area. I'm also happy to report that the slide at the outdoor pool is now repaired and back in business. So that's an important thing to a lot of people. So it's back and running. Speaking of the pool, the movie in the park this week is Jaws, Friday night, and it will be shown at the pool.
That's awesome.
There is a limited number of tickets in there going fast. I think there's still about 100, a little over 100 still available.
Now, there's a show I'll go see.
For the public, if you want to watch Jaws in the swimming pool, Friday night.
That cracks me.
Starts at 9 o'clock. Advanced tickets are required. So those you can get those at the Parks office. As was mentioned in the committee of the whole, but for the public, just a reminder that this coming Monday, or not this coming Monday, but Monday, August 5th, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. in Murray Park is our annual health and safety fair scheduled. We'll have information going on our website tomorrow, so you should be able to reference that for those activities. It's always a great event. It's not only fun, but it's educational, a chance to get out and mingle with our police and firefighters and other city employees. So it's a great event. Finally, you may have seen an article yesterday in the Salt Lake Tribune about the renovation of the Murray Theater. If not, we'll include a link to it in the council communications. But the article was mostly positive, and even some of the facts were mostly correct. But with the exception of a few. But anyway, just for your interest, that is a good project, and it caught the eye of the Tribune for some reason. But other than that, unless you have any questions, that's my report tonight.
Any questions or comments for Mayor Kemp? Okay. We are now adjourned. Thank you.